Yo, it's your boy Vega Bomber, and welcome to Vega Bomber Land. Well, I think you could tell by the shirt that I'm wearing what the topic might be of this particular video. And that's right, I'm going to be talking about Star Wars. Now, my internet buddy, Harry, did an interesting video. He was comparing Rogue One to Force Awakens. It was something about being, what do you think of the latest two movies that are in the Star Wars franchise, and where do you rate them, or where do you actually not so much rank them, but which one do you think was better since they've come out within a year of each other? And man, that's a juicy topic. I'd love to talk about it. Now, the toughest thing about these kind of things is separating the natural fanboy in you who's going to love anything Star Wars just because it's Star Wars, and then the critical thinker in you, because life has taught you as you've grown up that those who can critically think find themselves in a lot less jams than those who just act out. So, dealing with this, I have to be in touch with my inner fanboy, but at the same time pay attention to my inner critic as well, my critical thinker, because that will help me in something as so important as which movie's better, Rogue One or Force Awakens. So to break this down, I had to come up with some categories. So I came up with 7 categories to figure out how to judge these two films up against each other. And so those categories for me are opening sequence, concluding sequence, fan service, characterizations, storytelling, originality, and of course, standalone. So let's take it through that stringent, through that lens, and see how they come out. All right, first category, opening sequence. I'm gonna give this to The Force Awakens. That first 20 minutes of that film set the stage, had you ready to go, and I think one of the most memorable scenes we'll see in a Star Wars film, because it'll be in the top 10 for sure, is Kylo Ren freezing that blaster bolt. I mean, that was amazing. And to see that within the first 10, 15 minutes of the movie, you're not going to forget it. It's etched into your mind. So I think that was pretty incredible. Now, Rogue One, pretty interesting, but not as interesting as that. I mean, we get the scene of Krennic coming in to capture Jyn Erso's father, Galen Erso, and then take him off, and then she has to get away before they catch her. And, her mom, her mom gets taken out. So, yeah, good start. Not bad, nothing wrong with it. But I think The Force Awakens, freezing bolts, a little bit stronger. Second category is conclusion, or that third act. How do the movies end? Do they tell a great story and then get you to the end, and at the end, does the end leave you feeling triumphant, if that's what it was going for, or melancholy, if it was supposed to be a sad ending to the movie? Does it do that? And I'm going to say, in this category, I'm going to give this one to Rogue One. Because that third act, Darth Vader, all that, the way it was shot, the way it just put the impact, the way it was intense, and it just rolled right through, even though we knew what was going to happen. We hadn't visualized Vader like that. We've seen the most robust Vader in a film ever. So that's high marks. So I'm going to say that Rogue One definitely ends a lot better. And I would say mainly that's because The Force Awakens is basically a kind of a copy of, or a soft reboot of A New Hope. And so we'd already seen people fighting on a Death Star and then getting out at the last minute before it blows up. So, I mean, from that perspective, okay, yeah, it's different. It's Kylo Ren, it's Rey, they're fighting. There's that Deus Ex Machina of the ground splitting just in time so that Rey doesn't actually kill the villain in the very first movie, because she was very close to doing that. She had him on the ground and finished, but then, as fate would have it. So, yeah, no, I would say not so much Force Awakens. Now, my third category is fan service. And to me, a good movie is one that has minimal fan service. It's okay to have some callbacks, but when you have too many, now it's kind of like you're going wink, wink, nod, nod. Remember this? Remember this? Remember this? Yeah, I got it. It's like a person that, keeps saying the same thing over and over again about a certain car or something. Remember that? Remember that? Remember that car I was telling you about? That's it again. That's it again. That's it again over there. Brother, I remember. It was Camaro. You like Camaros. I got it. Right? Well, that's how fan service can be sometimes. And so to me, the best one in these two films in terms of handling that fan service is actually Rogue One. Now, sure, you didn't need C-3PO and R2-D2 in the film, but if you look at The Force Awakens, oh my gosh, the train remote, the chess game that they were playing, and I forget the name of it. I know what it is, I just can't remember right now. Maybe you can tell me in the comments section. Tatooine, the way Rey was dressed. I mean, you can go on and on and on, all the throwbacks. The lightsaber in the snow, looking just like Empire Strikes Back. There's a lot of it, and it kind of hits you way over the head. So to me, I'd rather have the least amount, or the most minimal amount of fan service, and I believe that Rogue One, though it did some of it, was better at the least amount of fan service. Rogue One gets that category. Characterizations, or character development. Now, to me, a good film, a good story, not whether it's Star Wars or not, but just a film in general, when I can care about the characters, when I can invest in the characters, when I can see them go through an arc. See, now, that's good characterization. It's not just good characterization because you like that character, because you saw them somewhere. Just because Batman's in a film and I love Batman doesn't mean that was good characterization because he did Batman things. Get it? See the difference? So, characterization, I need to see this character, I need to know something about this character, I need to feel something about this character, and then I need to see them go on an arc. Right? And I have to say, in terms of characterization, both of these movies disappointed me there, and I would say they're flat. So what we got is a draw on characterization. And that's mainly because when you look at the films, it's like Rogue One, I'm sorry, but I didn't care when the planet was going to get destroyed, or whenever they were going to get destroyed, because first of all, I knew they were going to, and second of all, you didn't build anything into the characters for me to care. I don't know why Baz Malba, or however you say his name, or Chiwetel Ejiofor, that's another thing. You got a bunch of names I can't even pronounce. I don't know much about them. I don't know anything hardly about them. And I don't know much about the captain and the pilot and everybody else. I got a one-liner or a two-liner, but that's not character development, if you understand what I'm meaning. And in fact, I think Rogue One would have even been an even far more superior film if we had cared a little bit more about the characters. Right? Just saying. Next category, storytelling. So storytelling is, once again, part of it is the characterization, but what's the story through line? Where are you trying to take us to? What do you want us to follow you on? And are we able to follow these characters on this nice little plot point that has a story, not just plot point, but a story that happens to unveil the plot? That's what I liked. Good storytelling. So I would have to say, once again, both these movies to me, draw. They hit right in the middle, because there's so much about the story that was left out in The Force Awakens because they wanted you to see Episode 8 as if you weren't going to go see Episode 8 anyway. They were. So I would have liked to have learned a lot more things, since it was a 30-year gap between Return of the Jedi and this story. So I should have learned some things that would have connected Episode 7, Episode 6, but really there's not much of a connection between those two episodes. There really isn't. If you watch them back to back, they don't even seem that connected. And I think that's a problem with the storytelling. Now, Rogue One struggles, but for a different reason. Rogue One struggles because, well, we already know the story. We already know what's going to happen. We already know that they get the plans because we've seen 4, 5, and 6. So really here, all you could really do is try to really make us care about the characters, so that when they died, we would care. Just like in Saving Private Ryan, you got to know that small little clique of guys that was with Tom Hanks and Matt Damon, and you cared for them. And when each one died or walked away, then you felt something. But here, I can't say that happened at all. And again, I think if they'd have fleshed out the characters, with this story that we already kind of know, I think it would have been a lot better. But as it were, I can't say that the storytelling was much better in this one than Force Awakens, and Force Awakens back the other way. So it's definitely a draw. In the category of originality, I would have to say this one's going to go to Rogue One. Yes, because you know it's coming. Force Awakens is a soft reboot of Episode 4, which is a shame in a sense, because Episode 4 should be its own standalone, which I think it can, but Episode 7 can't stand on its own, right? Because you got to watch 8 to try to understand what happened in 7, and then maybe understand some things about 6. So I don't really feel like if you're watching these back to back to back, binge watching, I don't feel like that was really that original of them to take so many plot points and beats from Episode 4. But I see why they did it. It's kind of safe if a lot of people like Episode 4. Now with Rogue One, you had to be original because you needed to introduce some characters that maybe we hadn't heard of before. because we don't really know who this band of rebels are. So at least they were trying something different, even though we knew how the story was going to end. So I'm glad that we had different characters. Again, sadly, they didn't flesh them out enough, but at least we had some different characters. We had something to kind of look at and try to imagine what these people might do, or how a team like this might form around a common goal, which is that they just hated the Empire. So yeah, I think originality-wise, there's no way it couldn't be Rogue One. And then the final category for me is standalone. Can the film stand alone on its own? Because to me, all the good movies can. Even if they did a sequel to them, The Godfather could still stand alone, even if they didn't make the second and the third one. And of course, the original trilogy, the same way. And there's a lot of good films. I think the Planet of the Apes, same way. There's a lot of good series out there. Christopher Nolan's Batmans, any of those films, I think, could have stood alone. So in this category, standalone, that's definitely Rogue One. It can stand off by itself. Even if you didn't see Episode 4 or Episode 3, this one, it could do that. Now, again, big problem with The Force Awakens, it can't, because you have to watch Episode 8 just to understand some stuff about Episode 7. And I don't know that that's good for TV when you're trying to do episodes over a TV period of time, but movies are a little different. Sequels are fine, but a movie you should be able to go in, take it in, enjoy it, and let it be that. And you shouldn't have to be like baited into, hey, but you need to see the sequel to see this. It's Star Wars, once again. Who's not going to go see the next Star Wars film? Especially after Force Awakens did, 1.7 billion, almost 2 billion, and maybe at 2 billion right now. So, not necessary, and for me, that's how it ends. All right, so if we look at the tally, it's 4-1. It's 4-1, Rogue One to The Force Awakens, in my view, in the categories and how I've set this up, in terms of seeing it as a movie, not just as a Star Wars fan watching a Star Wars film, but as a fan of Star Wars who actually watches all kinds of films, trying to keep the fanboy bias out as much as possible. I see it as in 4-1, Rogue One over The Force Awakens in terms of just a good, solid story. But anyway, those are just my thoughts. I'd love to hear what you think. So go ahead and weigh down into the comments section, and me, the Vega Bomber, will meet you in the comments section, and we'll talk about Rogue One and Force Awakens to your heart delights. And if you agree, great. If you disagree, fine. But just be civil, right? There's no need to be a knucklehead. Yeah. Anyway, it's your boy Vega Bomber, and I'm out. You.